And we're back as we're getting ready to go into game number 4. We are ready for this. It is BTXL versus KOVA. I said we're ready for this, like we weren't ready for this. We are ready for this, aren't we, Jamada?
Yeah, of course. And I think there's quite a few expectations on BTXL coming into this one. I think, there's been a lot of fair criticism surrounding a lot of their performances, win or lose. So, I think against a team like KOVA, they've got to pull out some stops here. Not in the sense of, there's pressure on them necessarily to win because they're the worst team, but pressure on them to win because they are the better team objectively. And this is the kind of team where they should roll them over in about 20 to 25 minutes. But we haven't seen those kind of performances so far in summer. So that's what I need to see from them to at least sort of restore some kind of faith in BTXL for me.
Yeah, Sherpa had some... he said BTXL will be good. Like he didn't question that. He just said it's going to happen. They will be good. Bit of a hangover from EU Masters, and it's games like this where they really need to find their footing again. Like I know you've predicted KOVA, Jamada, and I don't know whether that's whiskey you're sipping in that drink or whether you're just completely out of it. But either way, you've done that for reasons, and we'll see in the game how it goes down.
It's H2O. But yes,
stay hydrated, friends.
Stay hydrated. It's not warm anymore in the UK, but I'm aware. I think in certain places in Europe, it's still sweltering. So if you are from those regions, stay hydrated.
Even if it's not warm, it's still a good idea to stay hydrated.
It's
just in general.
I mean, old Blighty, it's doing a pretty good job of staying hydrated because it's rained for 8 days straight, and we get 2 days off and then more rain. Anyway, pick some bans. We're not going to talk about the weather too much. The Viego, the Lulu, the Akali, and the Calm have been banned away. I've got to pull you two back in, otherwise we're going to be rambling throughout this. So far, just the standard bans. The Viego something that actually we don't see banned that often, but it has been banned occasionally by certain teams. Bit of a target ban more than anything, and the Rumble being the final ban here. Just to see what XL going to put their hands on. I've talked about Ezreal all day, and he hasn't actually really been picked up all that much.
No, yeah, that's actually kind of surprising. I think if there was a game that we could see it picked up, it would be here. But yeah, Nocturne's up. That's something that XL quite loved and had it consistently banned away from them. The other pick that I'm so surprised to see banned away is Viego, because I think when we had Hatrix on the interview, he said that, we feel like this champion's really damn strong. And I want to say when they did pick it up, the one time they picked it up, it was first pick Viego, or it was definitely first 1 or 2 rotations. But yeah, Nocturne picked up here for BTXL. They're very, very confident on this champion. And over on the other side, there we go. We're going to see the Ezreal locked in finally. And we are also going to see Xin Zhao, which we've seen a fair amount of today. And I wonder if XL are going to go for the hyper-aggressive Kalista lane again. It's something that we saw them doing to Dusty, and it almost kind of cost them the game because they got such a large lead and didn't close out, and they almost got outscaled. But it's something that they are very confident doing, and the Hover, I wouldn't be surprised to see it locked in. It's just one of those picks at the moment that it's one of the 2 that can really put Ezreal on hold.
All right, Deadly loves this Kalista pick as well, and I think Advian, the style champions that you put up against or alongside the Kalista, are absolutely style champions that Advian loves to play. Thresh is still open if you want to go for that. You've still got the Leona. Anything tanky really will work alongside. You don't need to pick it right here, but either way, here comes the Thresh Hover. And, it's just, it's a beautiful lane. It's really hard to play against. Power pick as well, just in general. So, BTX are going to be very happy about getting that.
Gwen is open if KOVA want to take that as an option. It is potential. You can kind of flex it between mid and top. Obviously, they got the Xin Zhao, so you're not going to be putting it in the jungle. So they could go for that. Although, if you do pick the Gwen up here, you're probably going to get a lot of supports banned away. So odds are you're going to see something that can kind of handle this lane, or at least keep the Ezreal in an okay spot. So they're going to pick the Braum up. So we head into ban phase 2. So maybe XL decide to ban away the Gwen. Maybe they don't think that it's actually going to get picked up here. Off the top of my head, I feel like Nocturne wouldn't have an awful matchup into it, so maybe they'll be okay, kind of leaving it open.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, just on the point, even though it's not been locked in, Gwen would have been pretty good here because, honestly, KOVA had about 4 or even maybe 5 options in the support row, and BTXL only really banned 2. So it could have been okay. We'll see if BTXL sort of pay their respects on the champion just in strength alone. For now, though, KOVA, they've removed away the Jace, obviously very strong. We've seen Hatrix play a couple of times, and he's looked really stellar on it. And for XL, I think, just 2 strong solo laners, Renekton's 1. You just want to try and remove away things that Xin Zhao can very easily play towards. We could see the LeBlanc banned away just on the basis of we've seen quite a few of this pairing where, LeBlanc's obviously got the setup, Xin Zhao's got all of the damage in the early game, and it can be very precious to play around in the sort of first 10 to 15 minutes. And when you've got a Kalista lane, you don't necessarily want to have a losing mid jungle, because then that pressure from the mid lane can actually bleed over into the bottom side.
KOVA
The only other-
wants to ban away
Sorry.
Gwen, which is interesting. It looks like they're predicting this to be Hatrix's Nocturne as a potential here, because we've seen 4 top lane bans come out today. Maybe it's still flexible, but I think KOVA were maybe a bit worried that it was actually going to be Hatrix taking the Nocturne, so they wanted to ban away something that could be comfortably picked into whatever they're picking here. Because keep in mind, KOVA at the moment, for me, are lacking any kind of form of hard engage, so they could just take a tanky support, a tanky top laner. You can kind of start fights for them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Jakey boy, as well. The only time BTXL have played Nocturne is with Hatrix. So, not to say that, Arome can't play it, or even Marcoon if they want to do that as well. But I definitely got to give some respect over to that. If you are KOVA, that could very well be in the mid lane for that Nocturne. It's going to be a Sion lock-in. So, you want a bit of engage, Jake, and I mean, Sion's not exactly premier engage, but he can just, run at you pretty fast. He's got that front line as well.
It's
that
the
almost-
X edition engage, that's what it is.
It's a what edition?
That was a joke that I've realised would just go over everyone in the Nordic because that shop doesn't exist. So I'm not even going to make it again. It was a terrible one. Locking in the Volibear as their jungler, I'll tell you after the break. See what they're going to look to put in the mid lane here. And, it could just, there's a fair few things open. They could also just look for a top laner as well if they want to flex the Nocturne.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like, last second
Okay.
swap. I was going to say Zoe wouldn't be too bad. I think they're looking for a skirmishing mid laner realistically, and Zoe could have fit that profile. I think sometimes people sort of underestimate the power of the sleep, and the immediate response is actually Rise, which is definitely pretty interesting. I think it's pretty good because a lot of the almost every single champion here on BTXL is relatively short range. There's not a lot of like immediate hard lockdown outside of like the Volibear queue. So if these champions on BTXL are coming into Rise's operational ranges, he's going to shred through them as soon as he's got those core items. So I'm a big fan of this Rise pickup. And I think for BTXL, it's about, punishing this bottom side of the map with that Kalista and Volibear and Thresh.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. I think exactly as you say, when you've got like Braum and Rise specifically, like playing into them, when you're Silas, when you're Kalista as well. I mean, to be honest, like the only range champion on BTXL is Kalista, and she's like, what? It's like the worst
range or something.
Yeah, it's like
that.
really low range. So Kalista's gonna be relying on her teammates to like set up and create space. But if anything goes KOVA's way this game, and if that Rise gets ahead especially, or just if they can just run towards BTXL, then yeah, it's going to be really hard for Deadly to pump out that deep. So prioritize that Kalista pretty heavily. We'll see whether or not it can pay off.
We're going to have to see, but it's time for us to pass over to 2 handsome chaps to break the game down, Viperoon and Gulborg.
Thank you very much, Hitbrain and the gang. And do you know what, Gulborg? Hitbrain's been getting slowly nicer with his handoffs. He started
He does this, don't trust
flame.
him. He's building it up only to let you down. It's every time. Never trust him, all right? Just don't make that mistake.
I can dream. Let me dream. Let me hope. I'm new. I'm fresh-faced. I'll be disappointed after the last game, and then I'll become jaded like everyone else. But we're going into our 4th game of the day, BTXL versus KOVA, and people expect BTXL to have a good one, but I think the desk raised a couple of really interesting points about how their draft maybe lacks in certain areas.
I'm also going to say, I'm really not a big fan of Kalista into Ezreal. A lot of what Kalista wants to do is excel in the laning phase, and a lot of what Ezreal wants to do is just sit back, farm with Mystic shots, and chill. You also have that nice disengage for a backline dive coming in with the Volibear, with the Nocturne, potentially Silas as well. And you can kite back with the Rise. Rise is a champion that's in priority. Have raced heavily in the LPL, where I've had the pleasure of watching some games as well.
Oh, have you really? Have you really?
Just to throw that in there for no specific reason at all. And I think they have a lot of tools to actually fight with in the mid to late game. So for KOVA, it's very much about just staying even, really. And on the side of XL, you kind of need to get some lanes ahead here to make sure that on an even footing, you won't just get team fought, because it is really easy for KOVA to kite back. It is really easy for KOVA to disengage and engage with their composition.
Would you like to hear a fun fact about KOVA's support player?
Yeah, go for it.
Tiara has the highest average wards placed per minute of any player in the NLC, with 1.95.
Well, apparently he's placing too much because it's not working out for his team.
Well, no, my question is, where are you getting 2 wards a minute from?
I mean, maybe when you get your full support item, you can just place a lot of wards in your base as soon as you finish it up, to just kind of stack wards for no specific reason at all, and then you can kind of cheat your vision scroll like that.
So you think Tiara's just standing in base, spamming the...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Is that the allegation
that's a
that
valid
we're hearing?
strategy. That's a valid strategy.
For what? What is that a valid strategy for? The minions are crashing, but there's not much going on. The death sentence was landed. So what are your allegations against Tiara? That you're saying that they spam wards in base?
I'm just saying, if it was me who was support in a pro league, I'd definitely cheat that stat. As soon as I got back and got my support item, I'd just play like 10, 20, however many wards I wanted to in base, just to get that little score up.
That's smart, you know. In my brief flirtations with playing League of Legends seriously, and by that I mean entering open qualifiers when I was in gold and then getting ruined because of seeding. As another death sentence lands, but nothing comes of it. I should have done that. I should have just spam wards, but instead I tried seriously and lost the game in 14 minutes in a qualifier. Fun fact, a couple of those players are in the NLC right now, and you're stuck with me here on the casting desk. So it shows how good my team was. But where should we be keeping our eyes in the early game? If we actually want to watch this game of League of Legends, where's the action going to be?
Yeah, I actually took a look onto junglers in the beginning, where Marcoon made his way up towards the top side of the map. He skipped his Crocs to get up there faster, but now you can actually see he's, wow, whatever, making his way down towards the bottom. And we could potentially see a skirmish around, arise around this Scuttle. I'm actually a big fan of this. So Marcoon went towards the top side initially, saw the bot lane of his has mecha priority, so it's really easy for his bot lane to move up here. He's going to take this Scuttle, he can potentially clear his Crocs, or he can just move back up top side and get the second Scuttle as well. So he can double Scuttle KOVA here. Really nice adaptive pathing coming out from Marcoon. Just spotting out the priority his bot lane had there and how to utilize that for a small little lead.
Absolutely. Hasn't gone towards that Scuttle just yet, but is picking towards it, is going to be moving up towards the top side. Now, Outlandish going to be going for the reset. So, as you say, double Skull going the way of Volibear, and this champion really spooky to duel early anyway. Excellent start from BTXL, even though it's not a big first blood or early objective. It's the little micro advantages that can see good teams really take control of games.
Yeah, specifically because we said we wanted to see BTXL get ahead early, and Volibear is one of those key facilitators. If he gets level 6 before Outlandish, it's really easy for him to find a lane where he wants to shut down the turret. He's making his way up towards the top side of the map for a potential dive, but Outlandish is around the vicinity as well.
And has just hit level 4, so everyone's going to be on even play field. Rome level 5, the only person above that level, but still no ultimate. San just ticks over as well. You see Marcoon hanging around in the bush, but not convinced by this one. Outlandish showing to protect, and everyone's just going to back away.
Yeah, and with this, you can see they want to skirmish around these Raptors. TP's coming through from Hat-Trick so he can get the priority. No mana on Simply, but Tiara is around as well, so they could try and bait Marcoon in here.
And attempted to. Tiara has shown Hat-Tricks has priority in mid lane, and no mana on Simply would make it a difficult one for the Rise to get involved with. He just wants to reset. As you can see, Advine in the bottom side as well could be looking to get involved. Everyone kind of moving towards this mid lane. There's a massive magnet here, and everyone's being drawn towards it, but no players being made as of yet. Teleport coming through from the Rise. As you can see, Marcoon trying to get the engage, gets the stun down, and the teleport from Simply was a disaster. First blood going over to the press. Outlandish is caught, fish in a barrel. Damage goes down, and he is going to fall. Hat-Tricks picks up the second, and absolutely disastrous decision making from KOVA sees BTXL pick up 2 quick kills.
Yeah, I think Simply regretting that quite fast after that little exchange, and yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. I think he thought the wave was so big that there was no way BTXL would fight in it, but there's just too much CC. Thresh CC, Hat-Tricks has a CC, Marcoon, like, it's really easy to layer. I think you need to flash as soon as you get out of that TP.
Do you remember when you could cancel TP when you cast it?
Yeah.
And Simply is wishing that those were still the cases, but that is definitely not the kind of advantage you wanted to give to BTXL early. We said that they wanted to grab stuff as quickly as possible, and KOVA almost handed over 2 kills to them in the mid side.
Yeah, and there you go. And that's not only just those 2 kills, it was the big wave that Simply had pushing in where he didn't get to pick up the gold, and lost essentially one more wave as well. So XP and gold just in general, 1k up for BTXL. And now we start talking about accelerating. We start talking about levels as well. Marcoon on his next clear is going to be hitting level 6 onto the volley bear. He's picked off his Sheen, which means his burst damage is going to be really terrifying. And KOVA, they know that they need to get these cheesy plays up going if they want to. We've seen this work for teams earlier as well. But if you skirmish around in a 3v3 where you don't CC down a single target, BTXL will just come out on top.
Outlandish has been caught. They're trying to come out on top once again, but he dives away, gets the smite for health, but he might still be caught. Flash will see the Zins out to safety, but it's going to be BTXL who can pick up the dragon off the back of it. KOVA hanging around Snurmy, might look to try and grab a steal with a Q, but is going to be forced to back away as the dragon moves back to pit. Another good play. No kills this time, but the objective will be secured.
Yeah, you're completely right about that one. So early Drake going over to BTXL slowly but surely, and then they're back onto the lanes here. Top side of the map simply is trying to move up, potentially to get a pick onto a Rome.
Well, there's going to be able to get a lot of damage down. Rome picks up the kill, flashes over the Wards of Freedom. The San can chase as well for a couple of moments as Rome looking to recall, but I don't think he's going to be able to get away. He survives for a moment, but can he take the fight again? Simply he's half health, gets the spell shot off, but doesn't really block too much. A lot of damage coming out of the Rise, but not enough. We're moving to the bot side as the dive comes through. Marcoon has turned off this tower, but it's going to start shooting any second now. Deadly backs away. It's a trade 1-for-1 in the bot side, but with the kill obtained top as well. It's an excellent play for BTXL, and it's still going to continue. Hatrix hasn't even arrived yet as Outlandis gets chucked to Marcoon. Can't take one more shot, but he doesn't, as you can see Silas coming on through. There's one, there's another. It's almost perfection for BTXL, but Hatrix will fall. A messy play across the board, but BTXL will be super happy with what they've gained.
I like what you said there. They were so close to perfection, and then he kind of screwed up a little bit. Hatrix wanted to get the Glacial Fish off Tiara, and because of that, he just died to the tower, actually. So, a minor hiccup, but a Rome up in this top side, a 2v1. He thought with the paranoia that they hadn't spotted him onto a pink ward, so he could just start recalling here. And then as soon as Simply face checks him, no flash from earlier, it's just doom. Look at that damage.
It's just... Look at this, the fighting all over, and then, yeah, it was almost perfection. Look how close Marcoon is to going down in this situation, but then Hatrix has to come and ruin it.
Yeah, exactly, and I like the fact that they don't need to turn on to Tiara. They don't need to care about the support. They could just get the HP bar low here. And then Hatrix, don't know why you're glacial entering here, kind of. Yeah. Maybe he was dead either way. Maybe I'm just nitpicking. Maybe he was dead. Who knows?
I mean, he got the 2-for-1 anyway, so it's worth to grab those kills, secure the objectives, and make sure there are fewer members alive from KOVA to prevent any further gains. But, you know, we can have a little bit of fun with it. We can call them out for feeding a little bit. After not escaping from that dive. But BTXL full control. We're not even 10 minutes into this game, and they've already got a decent gold lead. Now they're going to look to get an even bigger one as they dive onto Outlandish. He was behind the tower. Needs to be a little bit careful. Deadly diving in to get some damage down, but has to back away because of the Ezreal ultimate. Outlandish goes low. Hatrix is here, and this time he's under his own tower, so evens things out 1 apiece. Excellent play so far from BTXL as we move towards the top side. Nocturne with a little bit of poke, but not looking for the kill just yet.
Yeah, this time around, Tati, we finally picked up 2 cloth armor, so more armor. He won't just have an easy time dealing him down. Hatrix
goes very, very low. Simply and Tiara locking him up and doing the deed, but Hatrix able to dive away, gets a little bit sustained as well. And remember, Silas can be deceptively tanky with all of that draining that he has on his abilities, so can get away.
100%. And a guy we haven't talked about too much here is Deadly. Just on paper, haven't been doing much, but when you really start seeing what he's been able to do for his team, he's been stacking up the waves. He's doing beautiful with the Ren stacks onto Kalista, Snurmy.
And there's the kill. As you said, that was the best caster curse I've ever seen in my life. He hasn't been doing too much of note, but then gets the solo kill in the bot side. So just showing off and letting everyone know exactly what he's capable of on this champion.
But his his mechanics on Kalista there was so good. The fact that he stacked up the Ren stacks onto a minion, started hitting Snurmy, rendered once, then got the reset because he hit it onto the minion, and I don't think Snurmy caught that. So he kept trading with him. And because of that, he just died after the Ren stacks were put in place enough to actually finishing up with the piercing spear, whatever it's called afterwards.
Difficult for KOVA at the moment. They're 3,000 gold down at the 11-minute mark. There's plenty of time to still make plays on 2 towers. Not that many plates have been taken by either side even at the moment. I believe it's just the one in the bot side that's fallen off so far. But that means there's plenty of standing goal for BTXL to make plays for. You can see the Rift Heralds in the pocket of Markoon. I don't think we recognized that one when it went down, but there's the opportunity to try and get more and more gold onto the members of the team, and they could look to do so mid.
And I think they're just going to be doing that here. Not too many members, around 3 members have gathered, but Snurmy is pushing around bot side and Tatooine is shielding up towards the top side of the map. But it's not getting quite low yet. It's not under that 2-play threshold that you'd like it to be. And with 2 more minutes, I think you could have been potentially a bit more patient with that Herald. Did it?
Well, I don't know if it could manage to get the charge off. Snurmy did manage to get away from the bot side, doesn't want to
They didn't get the charge off.
Didn't get the charge, so that Rift Herald was wasted. And yes, BTXL still have a decent advantage and don't necessarily need it, but it could have put them even further ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. That felt very rushed with that Rift Herald. I don't mind gathering out the bot around the mid lane just to get the plating down a bit. But then afterwards, it was really easy for KOVA to just get the smite, get the hit onto the arrow, and just one-shot the Rift Herald before it could charge. But Infernal Drake has just respawned, and I think that's going to be the next objective onto the table for BTXL. KOVA right now, not in a position where they can fight. You can take a look onto the inventories and haven't finished up their mythics just yet. Patrick's on his Everfrost, and I think that's just going to be the difference maker, the goal difference between the 2 teams right now.
Yeah, the goal difference you can see on the bottom of your screen looking good in a lot of different places right now as BTXL going to be marauding forward even further, going into the jungle, looking for plays. And if you're looking for some skins at KitKat Gaming right now, chance to win some, because I need more skins. Goldberg, I don't know if you do.
I mean, that's not the new skins coming out. I'd love to do
that. Yeah, same. They were all talking about the Pantheon skin out here like it was the best one. And I'm not...
It is definitely the worst of the new skins. But enough about that, because it looks like Snurmy is about to get doped.
Making a controversial statement and then quickly changing the subject, fortunately for you. Actually, unfortunately, BTXL not interested in the dive. So tell me, Goldberg, as they start up the dragon, why is it the worst skin?
It's just boring. The Sentinel skins are just pretty in general. I'm sure they're going to be cool as well. It's just Pantheon's just green. Like, we've seen this stuff before. It's nothing special.
You are right at the end of the day, unfortunately. But don't tell the other caster. Don't tell Des we said that, as the dragon is secured. Second of the game, Infernal, means we're going to have another mountain. It's been much more the passive dragon souls that we're getting so far, and less Infernal and Cloud, even though we did see a Cloud last game, and much more the others. But we're going to see Arome diving on in under tower. Marking here as well to turn off the tower and make this a very, very unfair fight. BTXL clean up with a double on the Silas and get away scot-free.
And Viperune, this is exactly what we talked about. If you get ahead early with BTXL's composition, their dive on the Tara is just going to be crazy scary. There's not much you can do in that situation.
Look at this volley that he just does not care. Hat-tricks to the Romeo here. Tiara Glacial Fissures to try and get away. Will be able to quickly step away from the Thunder and gets out alive. But they've got so much advantage, they're not even scared of stepping deep into the enemy jungle to steal away camps.
And why would they be? They just have so much priority onto the map. They're 5k ahead, 14 minutes into the game. They're still getting these turrets knocked down. So this will actually be the first outer turret that they're finishing up. But the rest are quite low and should be sure to fall. Either you can go in and clear the minion wave now and get a man advantage around to just take care of the last mid lane turret. Or you can get the resets then and then start looking for it. You can see Deadly with the gold can afford the mythic items now, and Deadly 2k ahead of his opposition. The same can be said for Hat-Trick. Almost 1k in the jungle and a couple stuff in the top side as well. Every member of BTXL is just beating out their counterpart in the gold department.
And it's just a dominant performance all round so far from BTXL. They're winning in every lane, every position it's doing its job, and outside of a couple of very minorly questionable exchange and trades that we saw in a couple of the team fights, they're doing everything right. And this is the team that Sherpa warned us about. He said, BTXL, they're going to come online. They had a little bit of a break. They might take a little bit of time to get rolling, but this is what we want to see from a team that went so close to winning those European Masters.
Yeah, you're completely right, and we just heard it in an interview as well from Vendelbo earlier, support of Galaxy Racer. right now. He didn't want to cut. He didn't want to, smooth it in, whatever you want to say. He was just straight to the point. Right now, BTXL and Fnatic just seems to be a step over the rest of the teams, and they're trying to make a little catch-up up until that point. But in this game, you can just kind of see the difference.
It's very, very difficult to watch if you're a KOVA fan. They have tried to get onto the second Rift Herald. You can see Marcoon sniffing around. I don't think he's going to be enough on his own. They're ahead, but they're not that far ahead. But here's the rest of the team. Arome going for the engage into the backline. Since Alva will knock them away for a second, giving them a little bit of time, but it just doesn't matter. Outlandish is burnt through. Goodbye, Braum, as the flash over the wall will catch out Sturmy as well. Hatrix moves forward, looking for his prey, and will be able to secure the double. Yes, Tattoo gets out. Yes, they get a little bit. Yes, they grab the objective, but the damage done might be too much.
Yeah, and here's the thing about second Rift Herald. When you're behind, it never really does much because you need to have momentum, you need to have the tempo and correct setup for lane to actually make value of it. So I don't think you're going to get one. And this, once again, it's just people who are ahead right now. They can just jump face first onto you. And there's just no way for you to fight this game.
If you can't fight, what can KOVA do? What is their way back into this game?
Remember that trick series earlier we've talked about?
Oh, no, I don't.
Where it was very much about slowing down the pace of the game. Not opting in for plays like the Rift Herald, just handshaking stuff, just scaling up. That's what you want to look for at this point. You can see both Ryze and Ezreal have gotten their tiers, but you're looking to get those tier stacks. You're looking to get 2 items onto your 2 carries, and then kind of try to kite back with them, with the concussive flows, with the disengage you can get from Xin Sao or CC from Tatsui. But it's about getting to that point, and I'll be honest with you, Viperoon, at this point in the game, with this state of the map, it's also about BTXL making a mistake, because they are very, very far ahead.
Yes, they are. Arome up in lane on his own, Outlandish on the side, but even now that 2v1 maybe doesn't go the way of KOVA, and they can't keep committing multiple members to stop the knockdown, because look at the bottom side of the map. Deadly is ripping through waves, rending through minions, and Arome is getting so much damage onto this side. He's a tank, but he's still getting beaten very, very easily by the Nightmare in the top side. KOVA they're trying their best to react to all of these threats, but there's just too many on BTXL's team right now.
Yeah, look at the vision control as well. Arome's, all of his river is just completely warded up. The same, minimal vision is actually devoted to the strong side of Deadly here, because they know that even if a fight breaks out, they can just fight it. There is literally no worries. So Arome was, realistically speaking, the only member they could commit a play onto, and obviously the vision control already took care of him. So the setup for BTXL in this game state is also just not helping KOVA's case. Every time they want to look for a play, they already thought about it and countered it with their vision control.
I'm very excited for this game as well. If BTXL can manage to win this will be my first correct prediction on the NLC. So I think Jamada might be 0 for 4, I'm going to give it up if KOVA can't draw this one back. There's still hope. The Nexus still stands, and while you've got a Nexus, there's always a chance, regardless of how slim. But let's flip this. Go ahead.
We all said tricked. You already have one.
Oh, yeah.
This would be your second.
You're right. That would be 2. Okay. We're gaining. But
you'd be ahead of Jamada if you get the if BTXL wins this one. You're ahead of Jamada.
I did do a little bit of Dusty voting in the last game of the day, though.
Yeah, so that may come back and bite you in the bum, but we'll have a look at that later, of course.
I think no one said they were going to beat Fnatic, I think. So I mean, I like to think. But let's flip the script a little bit. BTXL, they've got this massive lead. How do they go about closing out a game like this?
I mean, you're out of position right now that you can easily just keep choking down the turrets, but at some point in time, you can also just say, we want to end now. But I think if you want to play it by the book, you just wait these 4 minutes until the Mountain Soul comes on the board. You keep taking care of these turrets. You can already see there's still some tier 2 turrets to back. I started speaking Danish for some reason. There's some still some tier 2 turrets standing here, which means that could be your next objective. Take that down, push KOVA all the way back to the base, make sure you can get Diva Vision control, and with that Diva Vision control, take care of the last objectives, and then you start closing out the game.
We could be in for another fight. Remember that Volleyball Ultimate turns off towers, and Marcoon is getting ready for a push if he wants to. You've got multiple members of KOVA looking to defend. The Bronze Glacial Fissure is available to try and disengage as much as possible. BTXL maybe looking to move towards this mid side. They've already got a Rome pushing up. They've got a minion wave. The Sion is here to try and clear, but the tower is not long for this world. They're actually going to engage on the Tattoo. He's pretty tanky though, so KOVA might be able to respond, but he's going lower and lower and no one's here as he gets taken down. The Death lands on the Xintao as a sort of disengage comes through from BTXL. Hat-Trick steps forward. They managed to get rid of the passive Sion. That fight didn't look as clean as the couple of others we've seen before, but BTXL, they grab the pick and they move towards the Baron.
I mean, Mycoon is still fairly low. I don't know if they can start up this Baron. They need someone to tank it. Yeah, I think the play is just going to be let's pull it off, but then you just do exactly what you did here. Go back on the map, keep the waves pushed in. You don't have 2 robots starting a skirmish. They did get the mid tier 2 turret here as well. Now you can move off, get the pressure in the mid lane, have someone move top. As soon as top turret is done, all right, then we move back onto the Drake. Or we can set up Baron. There's just so many tools right now that BTXL can go for.
But I wanted them to go for the coin flip Baron. That's what I wanted. I mean, yes, it's the smarter play, and yes, it will help them further, and they're going for Baron now, but their jungle is full health. It's much less fun. And KOVA have all 5 members on the map. Is there any world where KOVA can look to contest this objective?
I mean, they can contest it and lose, yeah. I definitely think that's valid. But once again, like, they're so far behind. If they, realistically speaking, if you're going to be able to contest this, you need a man advantage. And you've kind of set yourself up a bit for it. You can see they have some ping boards in their red side jungle. They have some tools to get some picks. But the problem is right now for them, BTXL, they're just walking together as one cohesive unit. They're not letting anyone stay behind alone, and that's making the game even harder for KOVA. So once again, KOVA, they're in a position where they need BTXL to slip up a bit, but BTXL, an experienced roster, our European Masters finalists, are not making those slip-ups.
They're really not making mistakes at this stage of the game. Looking for a Death Sentence, lands onto Outlandish, and they look for the engage onto the jungler. You can see Deadly's there as well. Xintao gets the blast going to safety. San tries to break up the fight, but gets caught in the middle of the BTXL roster. But Deadly is too overextended. He goes down to Rise, simply picking up that kill as Rome dives on through. They got a pick, but it might not be enough, as now Rome is looking for another victim, but he cannot find it. Tiara misses the concussive blows as the damage comes through. Tattoo forced back as Rome picks up the second kill of the fight for BTXL. Snurmy moving forward, full health. Hat-Trick has to try and get as much poke down as he can, but it looks like things have dissipated just a little bit. It's 2 for 1 in the end, but it looked almost good for KOVA.
It really did, and I think it was because how they soloed down Deadly. Yes, BTXL was together, but Deadly got himself in a position where it was really easy for them to start up a pick, and we can kind of get to see it here in the replay. A good hook initially, but take a look at to where Deadly gets positioned here. Take a look at how he has to kite around the Sion, and now he gets rooted up in a position where no one is there to kite for him. So yeah, that's kind of what steals the fight, but still, they're so far ahead on BTXL that it does not matter. Had this been an even game, yes, that would have been huge. But fact is still right now, BTXL are so far ahead, and in your picture-to-picture screen right now, you can see the Mountain Soul has respawned for them now. So matters are only going to get worse for KOVA if they're not able to steal this one.
And they need to steal it and then get away, because the team fight might not be great for them. Hat-Trick is half health, so KOVA have the better health bars right now. The Dragon's already gone below half health, and outsmiting a Callista is not always the easiest thing to do. KOVA moving forward. You can see the paranoia has landed as they managed to catch up the sun. Arome's gone into the backline. He's looking to get damage down onto Simply, but he's taking so much himself. You can see Deadly getting the kill, and now they're looking towards the Brom. He falls. Outlandish and Sturmia next. Ezreal trying to kite away as Deadly flashes, changes target, looking to try and rend as much as possible. Triple kill comes through. Quadra kills comes through for Deadly as they look to pick up the Dragon. BTXL are running rampant with the ace. The objectives fall as well, and could that be enough?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. 30-second death timers, but no, they are going to look for that Baron. And then after that, we should finally be looking for that push from BTXL to come through. Mountain Drake up now, which just makes matters even worse, because right now KOVA are already behind, but now they have to play up against the shield and extra resistances, and now obviously the Baron to come through with the Baron off minions. You don't have too much wave clear in your arsenal right now outside of the Rise, but obviously those minions with the Baron off magic as passive is going to be hard for them to defend. You would think BTXL is going to be looking to close out the game after this little recall.
You'd imagine so, and the desk pointed out BTXL's roster is very short range, but they want to be in the faces of KOVA. They love being in these team fights because they're so much stronger than their opponents. We're going to see exactly how that fight went down. Let's break this one down, Goldberg. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a team that's very far ahead of Aroma just diving in. As you said, they're very short range, and this should be where KOVA's composition thrives. You can see they do a really good job at just kiting back here, and they're making it very competitive. A lot of these members are becoming very low. Deadly, the shield both gets popped. He's forced to flash away, but the problem is, once again, they're just so far ahead. If they came into this fight on an even footing, I actually fancy KOVA's chances. But once again, 20k, almost 20k behind. Wait, math is hard. What the hell? 13k.
I mean, 13 is almost 20, kind of.
Yeah.
It's closer to 20 than it is to 0, as the top tower will be.
I give up. I wish I never.
It's been a lot. Well, it hasn't even been a long day.
No.
Most of our games have been very short. Goldberg, are you good?
No.
You need to go have a lie down.
Yes.
Are you okay? We'll give you a moment while they're pushing in towards this top tower. Still yet to crack the base. They've been very methodical about this, and they're so far ahead they can really afford to be over-patient, to be a little bit passive when it comes to trying to crack open objectives, because it's very easy to throw away an advantage. It's difficult to throw away this kind of advantage, but I've seen teams do it.
Yeah, and you can see right now they're actually syncing up the waves. So they're making sure that when top lane is crashing, bot lane is crashing, and mid lane can be crashing at the same time. So they won't have enough resources, KOVA, to actually defend.
Derby's in a lot of trouble here. Deadly has to go golden as Arome dives into the backline. Won't let his Kalista get the rend as he's trying to get damage on Ezreal, who will be able to flee out the back in the fight. Tattoo is tanking for so long as Hatrix looks for the damage. So does a Volibear. They get the stun and they're ripping through KOVA. What looked like a respite for a second has turned into a bloodbath. Outlandish goes down, a statue to KOVA's failure as a BTXL very much on form. The team that made it to European Masters Finals last split picked themselves up a dominant victory.
Yeah, for sure. And there is no... As soon as that lead started coming through in the early game, as soon as Macoon started finding the tower dives on Volibear, we kind of knew where this game were headed. KOVA, I think they had a good game plan coming in with the draft, but the priority from the early game, BTXL just made the most out of it, and KOVA failed to execute on that game plan.
It was... BTXL played so exceptionally well.
For sure.
They just played their composition exceptionally well. Individual performances across the board were really good, but we're not going to overanalyze here. We're going to jump to a short break. When we come back, it's going to be the desk. We're going to break down that BTXL win. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.